of the Spanish crew. So the Spanish crew of 5 ships with a Portuguese, I hated it, with a Portuguese master captain, but each of the other 4 ships had their own captain who were Spanish. And disliked Magellan, which began a warlike atmosphere in the 5 ships. One ship of the 5 sneaks off with all the supplies and goes back to Portugal. And he's left with 4 ships and makes his way in some blessed manner down to the tip of South America. He finds a way of going through the rivers and the little lakes. And he finds a passage through the very tip of South America, whereas everybody was going around to pass the tip, which is the roughest seas on earth, and ship after ship failed. But Magellan found a way of getting through to the other side of South America and into what the Germans called the quiet ocean, Pacifica, named the ocean. Of course, he was 3,000 miles from any civilization which he made in his pitiful little ships to the Philippines. He gets to the Philippines, and by this time, he's gone insane, and he becomes a Christian warrior. He's no longer interested in discovery, he's interested in converting the natives. Every island he went on, especially the Philippines. And the Philippines had their own religion, and ultimately slaughtered the gentleman in the surf while he's back with his armor on, and his shield, and his sword, and these primitive Filipinos sticking with these sharpened sticks, killed Magellan, and 1 ship and 1 captain with 15 men made it to England. And I think the guy's name was Carol or something like that, who picked up after Magellan. But Magellan and the Straits of Magellan live on. And is that the reason why you try to explore? Why do we climb those mountains? Why do we go up those rivers? Why are we going into space? What's the point in going to the moon? What's the point in going to Mars? 1/6 the gravity, dusty. It's filled with deadly rays. Humans can't live in it. Why are we going to Mars? Why are we discovering? So, I started to write a speech, thinking, hey, somebody wants me to talk about the South Pole, I'll have something to say. He says, okay. I said, I want you to erect. We will. And then he says, we have a film unit. Would you like us to bring the film unit? I said, there's no need. We have cameras all over the place. I get to the pass. I've forgotten which one, but a long pass. We go down the heights from Nevada into California. 10 miles getting to do this pass. There must have been 7 police cars rescuing people. Nobody touched us. When you say I couldn't get arrested as an actor, couldn't get arrested. So we stopped somewhere in a parking lot when we got to Los Angeles. I had one of the American Legion guys who used to be a policeman come up to me. I said, pretend you're arrested me, you're not wearing a helmet. Oh, I see what you got there. Why are you wearing a helmet? Oh, I don't know. We played the whole scene in which you pretend policeman. That was part of the voyage of discovery that I talked about in this concert. But also we talked about why are we going to Mars? What is this need for human beings to explore constantly? No matter what it is, whether it's your fingernails, or the depths of the ocean, or science in all its varied forms. I thought that my speech would be spiritual discovery, scientific discovery and medical discovery. Imagine primitive man eating the bud of a flower, or taking the bark of a tree and eating it, and curing themselves. How do they know that? They would watch the animals, I'm told. They would watch what the animals ate and see that they could feel better. And I'm sure by experiment and people keeping over because they ate a poisonous flower, that they said, well, we're not going to eat that flower. What else do we have? That through experiment, they found the things that made them feel better. And then gradually, men discovered ways of making humans healthy again. And we know that the Egyptians, 3,000 years ago, did operations on the skull. They operated on the brain. So the voyage of discovery everywhere goes on constantly because humans are curious. And there's another reason for the voyage of discovery, I think, and that is I drive in the country a lot, and there are a lot of graveyards. Billions of people have come before us. Billions. Buried in the ground. Thousands of years of people buried in the ground. They're long gone. They're part of the earth. There's a stone named Jack Smith lived here in 1200 BC. He's gone. The earth we need the earth to grow crops. What is this burial thing? In my will, I'm going to be buried in a tree on top of it. My remains will nourish the tree. But what's happening? What is death? What's the great mystery? It all is out there on a voyage of discovery that humans are trying to make. So that's really what I'm trying to say. We have room for time for questions. Is there anybody keeping time? No. Respectful of the afternoon, that's all. Anyone now want to ask me a question? You pick your nose. There's your hand. Pick your nose. All right, you in the red, stand up. We have a microphone. Who's got a microphone? Will somebody reach that?
Yeah, I can ask one, if that's okay.
Yeah, do so.
All right.
Where are you?
I am right here.
Okay.
I want to thank you for continuing your journey of exploration and inviting us to be part of your group. And my question is about your new show, The Unexplained.
Yeah.
I wonder, is there a site or a place that you've discussed that stands out as the most mysterious to you?
Well, everything. You don't know anything. You know, with all our exploration, we know nothing. That song is part of this album, which is probably going to be titled I Love Tomorrow. It's all about things I love that don't have to do with the love of a woman. It's to do with love of her body, love of art, love of music, love. In order to love those things, if you can love those things, you can love persons you're looking at that you want to love. And have the ability, if you're healthy, you can love. If you're sick, you don't have room or time to love. So the album is all about I love tomorrow. For what it suggests for the future. Voyage of discovery that I'm talking about is both the strengths of Magellan, height of Mount Everest, voyage to Mars, and the miracle child smile. All right. Yeah. Have you got a question over there?
I'm a huge fan of your time on the original Star Trek. I wanted to ask, how did they do the effects for the transporter and the Enterprise going through space?
That's two questions. So, the transporter, so there's only one other thing with a light underneath it, right? And so they would take this aircraft and ship what they call the plane, empty, the transporter, where all the characters are made. Then they would come, and we would, and without moving the camera, we'd come in and stand on the lights. And they would film us standing, and then they would blend the two pieces of film together, and it would look like they would fade us in. Then they added, with very expensive effect, twinkle. It was very, very expensive. They took a glass of water and put it in an Alka-Seltzer. And they filled the glass, the Alka-Seltzer all the way. They would put it in where we twinkled it. Episodes of television now, hours of television. Some of them are $5 million, some of them are $10 million. Our hour was budgeted at $180,000. Most of that is myself. Most of it wasn't myself. Most of it, $180,000, very things are in. And so we just, we worked late, we go overtime, 6 10, leave 6 10. I never found out why that 10-minute addition was there. We had to quit because overtime was very expensive. What does that mean to our thinking? We're all quantum products of quantum. Quantum is the study of the minutiae, minute stuff. Beyond the atom, it's parts of the atom. The Higgs, the bosons, the quarks, it's all that stuff. And it follows none of the rules of Newton and classical physics. Here's the example that in my bumping up on ChatGPT. It's like being in the ocean and being the surface area. And you got your bubbles, you got the air, you got the debris, you got all this minutia in the ocean. It's quantum. When you stand further back on the beach and see the magnificence of the ocean, that's classical. They're both the same. They follow different rules. Now, I'm sure some of you, many scientists, think it's impossible that they're separate. They have to be tied together. It doesn't make any sense. Given the unity of everything, except the difference between quantum and classical, given the unity and the entanglement of everything, it must all be one. We haven't discovered the one. We don't know how it relates. There's an adventure story there in science that awaits us. We, the human beings in every country of the world, are on the beginning of an adventure. Science is urgent. Science is making this. When I got into an argument with Neil deGrasse Tyson. I hate saying those three names, you know. I mean, it's so pompous. But then as soon as he, no. He said, all right, this is the speed of light, 186 miles per second. I think it is, something like that. So here's the speed of light. That's the measuring device that all scientists use to measure that the furthest galaxy is 13.8 billion years. That way we discovered with the Webb telescope, and it's 13.8 billion. It takes 13.8 billion light years to reach the particle from that thing to reach our Earth. Which begs two questions. One is, where is that galaxy now? If that particle took 13.8 billion years to come this way, where is it? It's 13.8 billion years older than when we see it. Where is it now? Nobody knows. The universe is expanding. It should be contracting. There's dark matter and dark energy. Nobody knows what's up. So when we got into an argument, so Neil said, this is like 186,000 miles, and this is what, and I said, well, with the extent of change in science, isn't the speed of light suspect? No, the speed of light, that's sacrosanct, that's good, that's the measuring device, and we know that if nothing else works, that the speed of light is inconstant. After that evening was over, a gentleman came up to me and said, I'm so-and-so, and I work in something very prestigious, whatever it was he said. Who knows, you know, I mean, there's so many names, and there's so many names that, you know, it was 10 years before 1966, right? In the 50s, they were just getting good color motion pictures. So everything has advanced since the time. Another question, how much do time that question? What's your question? Right into the microphone. Yes, the microphone.
So it's kind of two questions, but have you ever watched Lower Decks? And if you have, do you enjoy the references they make to Captain Kirk?
Let me tell you how, not only a quantum, but how ignorant I am of Star Trek. So I performed in 79 hours, 3 years of Star Trek. I directed, I one of the movies, I was there all that time. There was never really a day off for the 3 years I did. I didn't watch all the shows I did, and I never watched. I became extremely good friends with many of the next generation cast. Never watched one of those shows. I'm so ignorant that one day I was asked to come down to a big gathering of, and I forgot one of those Star Trek things, and say hello to a large group. So it was in the theater, and I arrived and went backstage, and I said, well, what do I say? There was a teleprompter guy. So he showed me, here's what you say, and I read the lines, and I'm like, okay. Because there's a teleprompter in the back of the room like this, and when the teleprompter goes off, you speak. Okay, I got it. And he said, and this young lady will come out on the right, and you go on the left, lead out front. I looked at the lady, and she was young, black kid, and okay, you're on. I don't know what age she is. I don't know who she is. Teleprompter standing beside this. And I see the words, but I'm unfamiliar with it. Not something I read with the teleprompter guy. But I'm told to speak with the teleprompter guy. I'm a pro, man. I start speaking. Hello, everybody. That is weird. And we're going to go on. Then I come across words that I read some of those. And thank you very much. And good evening. Tumultuous applause. She goes that way. I go that way. And we meet backstage. And she's in the arms of her agent. There's a little young lady who's the lead in one of the stars. She was supposed to say what I said. I said what she was supposed to say, and what I said. And I meet her backstage, and the agent, I thought I had a gun on and he was going to shoot me. The stares I got. And that was like 3 or 4 years ago. Ever since then, I've been sending messages of apology. Like anybody I meet on any show, you know, you're on Star Trek, would you tell that young lady how sorry I am? I've never been able to apologize enough for having insulted her. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Gentlemen, thank you so much.